So recently we tested Nvidia's new GTX 1660 Ti, and in summary, it's so far the best GPU in terms of value that Nvidia has released in 2019. At $279 you're getting performance that is a few percent faster than the GTX 1070 while consuming less power and less of your wallet. Today we're checking out one of the more premium models of the 1660 Ti, MSI's Gaming X. We're going to look at noise levels, GPU, VRM, and memory temperatures under load, overclocking, and also discuss when premium models like the Gaming X make sense and when they don't. Now, if you haven't watched my performance review of the 1660 Ti, I would highly recommend you go and watch that first. There we tested the GPU at 1080p and 1440p resolution and made comparisons to several other GPUs. We won't be discussing gaming benchmarks today, except to look at the gains that you'll get from overclocking the Gaming X. Overall, the 1660 Ti is currently the best gaming GPU under $300 at the time of filming. It's capable of gaming at 1080p at high refresh rates and is more than playable at 1440p as well. So here's the 1660 Ti Gaming X, and first things first, a huge thumbs up to MSI for finally dropping the red and black color scheme for their mainstream cards. Aside from the noise and thermal performance, the way the card looks in your build is a big factor in your purchasing decision, and the new Gaming X is personally one of my favorite looking cards of the 1660 Ti models available. MSI have traded the very prominent red and black shroud for a neutral dark gray design, which will look great in pretty much any build. Now, there are still small hints of red on the Gaming X, but it's nothing to worry about or fuss over in my opinion. They've also added some tasteful addressable RGB on the top and bottom of the card, and as usual this can be controlled with a range of effects as well as be completely disabled. In terms of the size of the Gaming X, it's refreshing to see a return back to the 2-slot cooler after the absolute monsters that we've witnessed with the 20 series. As we saw with the 1660 Ti performance review, this GPU is very power efficient, and so a massive cooler really isn't necessary. Now, the price of the Gaming X comes in $30 over the cheapest 1660 Ti's that you'll see available, like MSI's own Ventus or Gigabyte's WindForce. For that extra $30, you're getting a factory overclock of 105 MHz on the GPU and an additional 10 watts on the TDP. Of course, you're getting a better looking card as well and potentially better cooling, but more on this later. Alright, now putting the Gaming X on the test bench, I saw no power limit at stock, which was great to see, with the card holding a steady boost clock of 1935 MHz. So jumping straight into overclocking, I set the power limit to max, which was 107%, and managed to apply an offset of 130 MHz to the GPU and 950 MHz to the memory. As GPU voltage control is still locked on Nvidia's latest GPUs without bypassing it with external hardware, we're not able to push the card any further than this. Even with this offset applied though, it's still not hitting the power limit of 107%, so there is still a bit more in the tank. Overall, this gave us an effective GPU clock of 2055 MHz under load, and along with the memory overclock, this will give you roughly a 6% boost in gaming. In Rainbow Six Siege at 1080p, we're able to stretch our average FPS from 151.8 up to 161.2. Overclocking this card is definitely worth doing, by the way, as the thermal performance and noise performance of this card is really quite good. So with an ambient room temperature of 21 degrees C, we see the GPU settle in at 65 degrees, the VRM at 63.9, and the memory at 65.7. When overclocked, we see the GPU now only 2 degrees warmer, the VRM about 3 degrees, and the GDDR6 memory now at 67.8. So no problem at all here in regards to thermals. The Gaming X has been known for a while for its excellent thermal performance, and here that definitely holds true. The most impressive detail regarding the Gaming X is the noise at full load, or lack thereof. In summary, the 1660 Ti Gaming X is basically inaudible when gaming, even when overclocked. So that's sort of what you're getting when you're paying an extra for these premium cards in general. And here, near silent performance for an additional $30, I'm personally all in. However, when you consider that just for another $40 on top of that, you could get an RTX 2060, and that's where the purchasing decisions become a bit hard. What ends up happening there is that you start descending down this slippery slope of just another $50 and just another $30 and just another $10, and when you look back at where you started, you're $100 or more away from the graphics card that you were first looking at. I'm not saying that premium models like the Gaming X shouldn't be bought, they're just in a bit of a hard place to recommend. On one side, it's easy to argue for. The additional $30 seems easily worth it for an overall better looking card, a factory overclock, slightly higher power limit, and superior thermal and noise performance. But then at the same time, it's also hard to recommend because for just $40 more, you could get an RTX 2060 Founders Edition, a GPU that is on average about 11.5% faster at 1080p, and that does have RTX hardware built in, which may be beneficial down the road. Thermal and noise performance for the 2060 FE card, I'm guessing wouldn't be too bad either, as like the 1660 Ti, the RTX 2060 is quite power efficient as well. So that's where we are with the Gaming X 1660 Ti. On one hand, who wouldn't want a card that looks this great and runs so quiet under load, pretty much inaudible, but then at the same time, just with a little bit more cash, you could get higher frame rates, and who doesn't want more FPS? So yeah, it is in a bit of an awkward position in terms of price. So it is ultimately up to you guys. I'll leave links in the description, and I'm also interested to hear your comments down below on what you think in terms of this bit of pricing dilemma. As always guys, a huge thanks for watching. Consider subscribing down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.